how should churches use or not use AI? I think that's a great conversation. It's definitely one we need to have. I think the first thing to do is demystify it a little bit. If you don't want to use it, don't. I think the more important conversation is how are we pastoring our people through this cultural shift? Anything on the productivity side, the administration side, I just think so much efficiencies are unlocked. I would explore that as a church. I think there does need to be a really fine line in the sand of what is practical and what's pastoral. If you're a pastor or a preacher and you're using ChatGPT to write all your sermons, probably not a good idea. Are we using AI to help us save more time on ministry tasks or so that we can spend more time with people?
What do you think the line is between having AI write your sermon for you versus just helping you in sermon prep? Welcome back to the ChurchCandy Podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with my friend, the founder of Pulpit AI, Michael Whittle. Bro,
dude,
came down to Houston.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much
Houston,
for coming,
Texas.
bro. Here we are,
man,
in Houston.
In this beautiful studio.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
Thank
it's good to see you in person.
Thank you. Well, you and I have been connected for a while now, and we're just here to talk about how the future of AI in the church and how pastors are going to be out of a job now, right?
That's right.
Because AI is taking over.
That's right. No more need for pastors. The robots are going to do it, apparently.
No, yeah, for sure. But dude, why don't you share your story? Because I know you got a ministry background, and how did you what led you from that to starting an AI company for churches?
Yeah. Man, I became a Christian at 14 years old. Didn't grow up in a Christian home. Got pretty radically saved in a Pentecostal church in Dallas, Texas. And was just always from that moment on was just obsessed with ministry. That was all I was ever going to do. Graduated high school early, started a Bible study in my high school, and just kind of that, it just got a hold of me. I met God and everything changed, and graduated high school early, went to Bible college in Dallas, and
where'd you go to Bible college?
A tiny little school called Dallas Christian College.
Dallas Christian.
So yeah, it's very, very small. It's in Carrollton area, and I really wanted to stay local because I was working at my church at the time. I was they gave me way too much responsibility, way too young. It's all of a sudden I don't even know theology, but I'm junior high pastor and all the all this stuff. And anyways, did that for a few years, and then the church I was a part of, unfortunately, went through some pretty difficult stuff, and after about a crazy 18 months, I just was man, if this is ministry, I don't want anything to do with it, you know? And so very soon after that, moved to Los Angeles, California, got a job working in independent film, just through a friendship that I had. And so was in LA. And then about doing that for about 2 years, I got a job working for kind of a serial entrepreneur. So the guy that invented taxi top advertising. A friend was working for them. I was broke. I was 23, 24, trying to figure out what to do with my life. And a friend called and was hey, my boss's assistant just quit. If you can get here in a couple hours, I think I can get you the job. And so I went up there, got the job, and that's kind of when I fell in love with entrepreneurship. So I worked with him for 7 years, started about 5 or 6 companies, and just caught the bug, So did that. And then, one of my best friends, Jake Sweetman, started a church in Los Angeles in 2015, and so helped him plant that. My wife and I were a part of the team there. So I've always just done the entrepreneurship and ministry thing, and never actually thought much about starting a company to serve churches. It was just never. It was always very separate for me.
It's not for the faint of heart.
It's a unique thing, you know, and I was actually doing something different that was basically failing. Another company, we were trying to build the Barstool Sports of Christianity. So we really had this vision. With my background, most of the stuff that I've built companies in is in the advertising and media space, and so I was just always really interested in that. And started that with some friends. Learned really quickly, fun, cool, but probably not a booming business case.
Yeah.
And so we had kind of just really realized that, and we're kind of what are we going to do? And then, the Pulpit AI thing kind of happened by accident, if I'm being super honest. I'm trying to figure out how deep I want to get into kind of why, what started it. But long story short, as we were building this media company, we just got really like under the hood of the like faith-based influencer type space and just didn't love what we saw, and was sort of like, hey, there's the internet, there's the zeitgeist, we need Christian content there, but like local church pastors are probably the most faithful people that we need creating that content, for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? And so honestly, we were just kind of like brainstorming ideas, like how could a pastor, of a small to medium sized church, a church that doesn't have a big media team, like how can they even fight against some of the stuff that their people are seeing online, So we were pastoring during COVID in 2020 in Los Angeles, California, predominantly people under the age of 30. And so we didn't even need to do anything but log into Instagram to just see like what was shaping our people. And we were just like, man, we can't even compete. We can't compete with all the stuff that is bombarding our people, every single day. And so it honestly started as like, hey, what if we just like took Jake or one of the teaching team members' sermons, like what could we just turn that into for something to shoot to the church through the week so that we're at least in their digital diet, so to speak. And I found this really obscure tool online, uploaded an MP3 of one of Jake's sermons, and just said, hey, turn this into a devotional. And it just did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I know hundreds of pastors that would use this. And so luckily we went online, we bought the domain pulpitai.com. Like this all happened in one afternoon, had a kid in our church who worked at PayPal start building the first like MVP version of it. And then it was just something I thought that, 25 of my pastor friends were going to use, and built a landing page, and then went on Twitter one Friday afternoon and we're just like, hey, we're going to start this thing called Pulpit AI. I mean, I didn't have a following. It's not like, it's not like I had some like distribution, channel, but I just was like, hey, we're launching this thing called Pulpit AI. Let me know if you want to help test it. And I went to bed on Friday and I woke up on Saturday morning and it had just gone totally viral. For not a really good reason, because people thought it was going to write sermons for you.
Yeah.
And so it was like getting a lot of hate, but at the same time, we were just getting like almost every minute, like a new pastor was signing up on our wait list. So we just got thrown literally unintentionally right into the middle of this like AI in the church conversation. How do we use it? How do we not? And that'll be 2 years ago this July. Mm-hmm. That happened. So it's been so it's a long story to say like we kind of trip and fell into this, and have just been kind of enjoying it, riding the wave, trying to just fully go, okay, God's kind of like placed us in that. We honestly didn't ask for it. So how can we just best like serve and steward to use the everyone's favorite term right now, what to do in this crazy moment of like AI and what does it mean? So yeah, that's a long story of how we got here.
Yeah, man. I'm sure there's a lot of pastors that think like, yeah, this AI, it's a trend. It's going to come and go just like everything else. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why do you think pastors should care, or should they even care at all about AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I try to be careful because I don't want to be that guy that's like on the soapbox, also because I have a product, an AI product that we sell to churches.
It's so in your best financial interest.
100%.
Soapbox.
100%. So I don't want to be that guy. And in fact, I like even cringe at myself when I say this stuff, but it's like, I don't think it can be ignored. It's not like crypto. It's not NFTs. It's not just like whatever random fad it's not church in the metaverse, right? Like all these like things come and go. But I think AI is going to fundamentally change our world. It's going to fundamentally change how we do our jobs. So I think it's the biggest technological shift probably since the mobile phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think we even have, we cannot ignore it.
Yeah.
We can't put our head in the sand. We can't kind of pretend it's just going to go away, because it's not. I mean, trillions of dollars are being spent, to move this technology forward, and it's here. So
culturally outside of just like the church,
Mhm.
right? Um, Tell me more about like why you think it's, the newest thing since sliced bread, since the
Mhm.
mobile phone. Like, why do you think it's changing everything?
Yeah. Um, I think if you look at it from like a business perspective, so if you just look at like technology, what technology did um, for the market, for like global business, it created a whole new category, right? Like there are jobs that existed today that didn't exist 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago because something brand new was unlocked, right? And that's kind of where we're at. So I think like, you know, when you look at a technology as transformative as AI, I mean, you're looking at like industrial revolution type change in terms of speed, in terms of productivity, in terms of intelligence. Um, and it's not just like one sector. It's not just technology. I have a good friend right now who's building a AI vertically integrated AI tool for hair salons, and like it's going to change the industry. Whether this tool will or not, who knows? But right, it's coming after every single industry. Um, and I think people. In fact, we were just talking about this. I was just talking about this with our CEO at Subsplash. The CEO of Shopify just sent out a memo to his whole team and basically said like, either learn AI and start 10xing your productivity, or like you're not going to make it here at this company. So from a productivity sense, so if you look at that, but then you also look at like cultural, societal, the questions of like, what does it mean to be human? We think our kids have like a digital first life now, but like, there's a school in Austin, Texas, I just read, has math tutors that are AI. And the kids that are that are working with this tutor are scoring like 4 to 6% higher than any other school in the country.
Wow.
So it's changing education. I'm currently talking to, a large seminary and Bible college about like, what if we built a theological research assistant that was voice, it was like your own personal G.K. Chesterton or C.S. Lewis or Tim Keller. Not them exactly, but so I just think like I'm rabbit trailing a bit, but I think it is from a work career perspective, it's changing everything. And then I think from a societal cultural perspective, if we think social media made us digital first people, this is 100x what social media can do and does. So
I feel like I use AI pretty often. It's one of those things, and this goes outside of just like ChatGPT, but like if you can get someone hooked on a platform, a software, if you get them integrated and they're using it in their daily lives, that's just like a SaaS, or which is a software as a service. That's just like the model, right? If you can get them using it, then they're hooked. Me, I got on ChatGPT probably like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and then I just haven't gotten off. And you know what my son said the other day? He's like, "Dad, this toy's broken. Can you ask ChatGPT like how to fix it?" And I was like, "I can fix your toy. We don't need ChatGPT.
We don't need, yeah.
I can fix it for you, buddy." And my son's 4 years old. And it's just, he's just heard me talk about it, or there's been issues around the house, whatever. And I'll go on the video thing and I'll be like, "Hey, look at this. What do I need to do?" And it's crazy how helpful it has been for me. So whenever it comes to the church, where do you feel like there's going to be places that AI is going to be useful, and then places like, hey, we need to like be careful and not use AI in these areas, right?
Yeah, totally. So I think there's a couple different directions, and the conversation right now has very much been, how should churches use or not use AI? And I've kind of said like, I think that's a great combo. It's definitely one we need to have. I think the more important conversation is, how are we pastoring our people through this cultural shift? So it's sort of like kind of two directions, right? So I think in terms of like, how is a church using it? How's their staff using it? How's their team using it? I think the first thing to do is sort of demystify it a little bit, right? Like, I think the first thing is like, if you don't want to use it, don't. It's like the church I go to in Franklin, Tennessee, we're a church plant. We don't do social media. We may one day. We also don't do podcasts or live streaming just because we're like, man, for what we feel like God wants us to do right now, we're not doing it. It's not that we don't think it's okay or bad. We're just like, hey, we're going to build a hyper local community. First few years, we're going to focus on that. So I think every church has to decide, but I think, anything on the productivity side, the administration side, I just think so much efficiencies are unlocked. And I would explore that as a church, like, hey, even just like, if you're a big ChatGPT user, it's like, its reasoning capability is amazing. Like, it helps me make decisions, on a practical side. I think there does need to be a really fine line in the sand of what is practical and what's pastoral, And so to me, it's like, are we using AI to help us save more time on ministry tasks, or so that we can spend more time with people, like
Give an example.
Yeah, I mean, it's anything, whether it's like content creation, whether it's communication, whether it's eventually like rostering a team, finding out like, hey, is this person available this date? Are they available this date? And how do I kind of smash this all together to make sure that we have enough team on Sunday? Like, whether it's, I actually was just talking to a pastor in Seattle, and they're negotiating a permanent lease for their building. And it's like, he's using that to help him read through the documents and agreements, and their CFO isn't full time, so it's like he's working through some of the financials, right? So it's anything like that. I think what we don't want to do is like, how are we like pawning pastoral care off to people, or like, hey, if you're a pastor and you're checking in with like small group leaders, like maybe don't have AI write those text messages for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what can we do so that a pastor can be a pastor? So like an example is, in LA, we were like a decent sized church, but we were spread across the city in 3 smaller locations. We had a small staff because everything's so expensive in LA, right? And so multiple people on our team were wearing multiple hats, right? So Sarah, who was our small group director, she was also our social media content creator. She also did comms. She also did youth, right? And so it's just like, hey, what in your workflow can you, bring AI to help it, that maybe helps you spend more time at coffee shops with group leaders or whatever. So yeah, that's a long answer for your short question.
No, yeah, that's good.
But yeah, and then I think you get into the sermon creation, writing, and all that kind of stuff, which we can talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing that I've done personally, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, but a prompt, because I use ChatGPT so much, it knows so much about me. I said, knowing what you know about me, give me a passage in the Bible to go study.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it like break down the passage for me or like anything. It was just, give me like, all this information about me that I've shared about my personal family life, about like work things, and what should I go study? And it was really eye-opening. It took me to the passage where Jesus is talking about being the vine and God the vineyard, and it was really cool. But what do you think the line is on stuff like that, where you're having ChatGPT help you or AI help you with your time of the word or whatever?
So I would sort of respond to your question with a question.
Yeah.
And I would go, what is the difference in that versus I'm going to log on to my Bible app that knows what I want to read, that is curating content from thousands of different people.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, I don't think one or the other's bad, but I think what AI is ushering in is hyper personalization. So, Netflix makes television shows based upon the analytics and the data of various swaths of people that are watching the content. YouVersion, and again, I think all these tools are amazing. So none of this is like shade at them, but it's like when YouVersion creates a devotional with a, inspirational Christian celebrity type person, like they're doing that because they know and they have the analytics on, hey, this amount of people are watching it and interacting with it. So we don't question that, but we do question like, oh wow, this my own personal little data set is informing and helping me inform. Like I just did the same thing, but I didn't do it with the Bible. I just said, hey, knowing what you know about me, what are some blind spots
Yeah, I saw that
in my life? Yeah, I saw, yeah. And I just was like, whoa, this is like, I could have paid a therapist to tell me. This was insane. Like very much down to like, it said things that mentors in my life have said to me about, hey, watch for this, man, And so, look, I think, again, when it's an augmentation, so like if you were to say like, hey, Michael, in my time, I don't ever just like sit and like listen to the Lord and go, Lord, what are you drawing me to study?
Yeah.
Right. I think if that's replaced and it's only, hey, ChatGPT, what should I study?
No, yeah, I only did that one time, guys.
No, totally. No.
Like I'm not doing that every morning. Like
Brady. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding. No, but it's like this. I mean, I did the same thing. This last couple Sundays ago, the person who was supposed to do kind of like our offering and communion, we take communion every Sunday, and like the offering message got sick, and my wife's the general manager of our church. We're the executive pastors, and so it's like 30 minutes before service, it's like, who's up? Well, it's me, and I've got both of them. I've got my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old who I kind of watch pre-service so that my wife can kind of get everything going, and I'm like, okay, I went to ChatGPT and I asked it a couple of questions, and because I didn't have my Bible with me, and it was like, here's a few scriptures you can look at. Here's some thoughts. Hey, cool. Give me a prayer from a church father that can be incorporated into this. And so it's like, would I do that all the time?
Yeah.
No. But, when it's 45 minutes before our church service and I'm trying to watch both my kids, it's like, oh, this was a great thing. So, I think I think what it's going to do is I think it's going to make each one of us have to really just examine our hearts and our convictions of like how we use this stuff, where our own personal lines are, and then like accountability.
Yeah.
Like if you're a pastor or a preacher, like, and you're using ChatGPT to write all your sermons, like probably not a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
And you should have someone in your life asking you, hey man, have you kind of like started getting the robots to write your sermons for you?
For sure, yeah. So let me ask you this, because whenever I'm writing content and even writing messages, I've got the passage and I'm thinking like, okay, what I used to do, I used to Google. I would look for stories, historical things where like, all right, I need an example. This verse is talking about overcoming hard times, right? So I need to find like a historical, I want to tell like a history story on like, oh, in 1947 there was this man that da. Well, now I can give very specific prompt to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm teaching on this passage. Help me find like a historical illustration that I can give, or give me like 5 examples that I can pick from. Mm-hmm. So I've done that. I'm not saying, hey, here's the passage,
right?
Outline me a message.
Totally.
Right? Like I'm looking for, and it's things that previously I would have searched on Google for. Like I would have just done research
100%
for. And then same thing in my personal quiet time. 10 years ago, if I'm dealing with anxiety and stuff, I might go to Google and say, give me like verses for anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. The only difference is now, instead of Googling that, I'm going to ChatGPT. I'm using AI. And so that's, for me, worked really well. For you, do you think there really are pastors that are using AI
100%
to write their messages?
100%. But they're the same pastors that were buying sermons online, or taking just enough of Stephen Furtick's sermon from last year and changing it just enough so that it wasn't plagiarism, right? Like, I don't think everyone's doing that out of like nefarious motive. There's busy pastors, right? Like, gosh, I know what it's like to be a pastor. Like, there's only so much time in the week, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. I know I definitely know that there are, and it's happening. But I think it's happening in the same way again that pastors have always bought sermon series, or the bigger churches, pastors. I mean, I have a good friend who does sermon research and writes sermons for huge pastors. Not all their sermons, but hey, they this part of the year I'm really busy with these kind of things, so I need to bring someone on to help me. So it's like, it's just different, but it's kind of been something that's been being done, for a long time. It's funny, kind of a funny like anecdote. But the day we went viral on social media, one of the editors for one of the really large Christian publishing companies messaged me, just like, I can't believe you're doing this. This is like, you're like removing an art form. Like all this kind of stuff. And my response was like, dude, haven't you guys been publishing books for pastors based on sermon transcripts using ghostwriters for decades? Like, how is that different?
Yeah. So for context, my understanding of Pulpit AI is it's not coming up with material from scratch.
No.
You give it a sermon that you preach, like the audio or the video, and it basically takes that and just reformats it in different, as a Bible study or discussion, small group questions.
Yeah. In fact, there's nothing in our app that can even be used without inputting some piece of already created content.
Yeah. So it's just repurposing it.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's already been being done.
Exactly. But, because for us, it's like amplifying the voice of the pastor. So, whether that's a manuscript for a sermon, whether it's audio, video, whatever, for us, it's important to go, hey, we want there to be some guardrails, that philosophically would be aligned with how we believe, pastors should use a tool like this. But that being said, there are definitely pastors using ChatGPT. Now, I will say, I just had ChatGPT deep research do kind of like a historical, contextual, and like exegetical study on the book of Hosea, because I was teaching that in church a couple of months ago, and it was like not great what it came back with. So I do think like the idea that you can use it to write some super in-depth, it's just not quite there yet. It's going to get there, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, for sure. There is a company out there right now, and they're a marketing agency for churches. And they essentially do lead gen, similar to ChurchCandy, where they will run ads for the churches. I think they might do SEO and Google too. And whenever someone basically fills out a form saying they're interested in going to that church, they use an AI chat to text and follow up with those people to give them info about the church and get them to hopefully show up for a service one day. Personally, because I've got friends that own marketing agencies in other industries like plumbing and HVAC, and they're all implementing similar things where like AI follow up via SMS. Dude, I just don't have a piece about it.
Right.
And like, if there's a church out there and they want AI to do all their follow up, I'm like, hey, we're probably not gonna be a good fit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that I just know that if I was interested in going to a church and I filled out a form online, I'm texting back and forth with what I think is a pastor. Well, whenever I go show up to that church, if I find out that I wasn't texting with the pastor, I was texting with an AI, dude, all trust is broken.
Yes.
I'm not going back
100%. Dude, you're so right. And this is where I think, circling back to our like building a business to serve the ministry space, it's why there's nothing else like it. Because at the end of the day, it is a ministry.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I think you guys' vision is like, we want to connect a certain amount of people to the local church. Right.
Like, I'm trying to get to 1 million.
Yeah, 1 million.
Last week we had 5,000 people.
That's insane, man.
And
right.
Yeah.
There's no way to separate I'm building the kingdom of God from I'm building a business. And anyone who says that is lying. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Back to your example. I 100% agree, right? And more than that, I would say like the role of the pastor is, and the Christian entrepreneur. And when I say Christian entrepreneur, I mean someone building something for the church space. To steal from a mentor of mine, it's to ask the question like, what's God doing? How's he doing it? And how can I support that? And the reality is you're right. Like, anyone who thinks that we live in a cultural moment where someone wants to talk to a robot as their first step going to a local church, not only is that not something we want to do, it's actually totally missing what everything in culture is telling us people want right now.
Yeah.
So I would say not only should it not be done, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
Like it's going to, anyways, like to me, that's the sign of, hey, I'm actually not super connected with what people are screaming that they want out of a local church these days.
Dude, if you've
Right?
ever called a customer support line, you're talking to an AI or robot and you're like, speak to an agent, right?
Yes.
Whenever people go to a local church, they want to connect with people.
A person.
They want to connect with a person.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't want to feel like just another lead. They don't want to feel like just another, and it's amazing, actually, not to promote ChurchCandy, but I will. So the church that I was a part of in Los Angeles has a location in Mount Juliet in Tennessee, which is about 50 miles from where I live in Franklin. And they just had a grand opening of their building. They used ChurchCandy and had insane results and have still had people sticking around. And because literally the worship leader, I saw this last week and I was like, dude, how's it been since the grand opening? It's been 3 weeks. And he was like, man, like people have stuck around. But again, it's like, it's the personal touch. It's not just the like, oh, I had signed up for something and I got a text and this and that. Like that's part of all of it. But it is just like, it's hubris to think that we can get people firmly planted in a local church without there being a human connection. And I'm done ranting.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. And so with that, one of the things we do is anytime someone plans a visit to a church, they will automatically get a text saying like, hey, this is, but that starts the convo.
Yes.
And then from there, whenever they respond, it's up to the pastor and their team to
100%.
hold a convo, right?
And so can I just go back to something you said, a church person. So like, let's say you're a lead pastor and let's say you have 4 people on staff and each one of those 4 people are juggling multiple hats. Would you rather have them write social media copy that 7 people are going to see because of an algorithm or whatever? Or are you saying to each one of those people like, hey, we're going to do, when a new lead comes in, like that's your job. Your job is to connect them. It's like, that's what ministry is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so a pastor's going, hey, what could I use AI to do so that my team actually has more time to respond to the person who just filled out a form so that it is a hyper-personalized experience. Like that's the stuff that AI should unlock more staff availability to deal with people, not just, like that's a prime example of it.
Yeah, 100%. And the more personal that, like in our context, the more personal you can make your follow-up, the higher the impact it's going to have and the more people that you're going to show up, or you're going to have show up, right? In the marketing business world, you'd call that your conversion rate,
Yep.
right? Like you would have a higher show rate from your market. And I hate calling it marketing, but like that's what it is.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
So like one of the things we coach people to do, it's time consuming, so not everyone does it, but the people that do, like it's so cool. Anytime someone comes in, take 30 seconds and record them a video and be like, hey, Michael, this is Pastor Brady. I'm one of the pastors of the church. Saw you planning to visit. We're praying for you, man. Can't wait to see you. Let me know if you have any questions and we'll see you on Sunday. Like just a personal video where you say their name. Dude, I've heard so many testimonies of people that were like, I was skeptical. I filled out that form and I didn't know if I was going to come. But when I got the video and you said my name, like I knew you took time to record that for me. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 11 Labs that like changed the name.
Exactly.
Like it was them personally doing that. In which I've had pastors like ask me like, hey, like, I can just record once and then change the name. And I'm like, if you want to go and figure out how to do that and integrate it, what we do, I'm going to let you do that. But we're not going to like create the solution to do that for you. Like I still don't know. And I think, and because that's something that we always have to bridge the gap on, like, because we can run all the ads and do all the social media things and we can get them connected to a church. But then it's up to really the church then to kind of steward that well.
Yep.
And yes, there is a world and there are companies out there that will allow you to use AI to steward that and start that pastoral discipleship. And if that's the route you want to go, awesome. And so we've looked at like, okay, well, what if I just hire like Bible college interns and they're manually responding to these people on behalf of the church? That way it's at least someone that loves the Lord. And it could be like, hey, my name's Michael. I'm on the team at, Vibrant Church.
Yep.
And then that way it's at least a real person.
Yep.
And it's not, I don't know.
But like, and I totally get that. And listen, I've been around big churches, small churches, church plants, established churches. So I don't say what I'm about to say as like, I don't get it. There's a lot of administrative stuff that goes into making ministry happen every week. But like, dude, didn't you get into ministry to minister to people? Like, shouldn't the pastor or the whoever go, yeah, I want to take that lead that just came in and I want to personally connect with him. Like, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
And so I think like, and again, I know there's a lot that goes into ministry. I'm not downplaying, but like, if we're just content creators or administrators or efficiency experts, like, go make more money doing something else in another industry. Because I think even more so in 2025, people want personal connection.
Exactly.
And so like, it's like, beware of the staff member that's like, no, I don't want to reach out to that stranger who just showed interest in wanting to come be a part of our community. I've got like too much busy work to take care of. It's like, no, this is why we do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
No, 100%. The world is all going to hyper AI, robots responding to texts. Am I even talking to a human?
Right.
The church needs to go the opposite direction. Lean into personal connection.
100%.
And so we're having a big push, a big initiative right now where instead of just like promoting a Sunday service, we'll run a campaign called Coffee with a Pastor. And it's like, hey, my name is Michael. Do you have questions about God? Like, have you considered going to church? I would love to grab coffee with you. You can tap below to schedule a time in my calendar. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing this for church plants that are like in that launch team building phase, where this church planter's just like, I got all these hours on the day. I got an interest party in 6 weeks, but like, I got to meet with people. And so
genius.
And it's worked well for them.
Genius.
Well, now other churches that are already meeting on Sundays, they heard about it and they're like, can we do it too? And we're like, sure. And so now we're going all in on it. And like long term, I would love to be able, like I bought last night, coffeewithapastor.com. And
amazing.
I would love to make that like a public thing.
Yes.
And like, I'm calling my shot now. One day we're going to have like a freaking Super Bowl commercial that is competing with He Gets Us.
Yes.
That's like,
I love it.
That's like, hey, do you have questions about God?
Yeah.
Like, have you considered going to a church? Go to coffeewithapastor.com. We're connected with thousands of pastors that would love to connect with
Genius.
you.
Can I invest?
That's the thing.
Can I invest?
I don't know how we're going to swing it. This is me. And again, I'm calling the shot. This is me, big visionary.
If you're out there and you're listening and you work for some big Christian tech company and you spin this up in 2 months, we're going to know that you listen to this podcast.
I know. And
because Brady, this is a genius idea.
I almost didn't even want to share it, but this was literally last night. I'm like doing the dishes and like, you're an entrepreneur, so you get it. So your mind's just like flowing. But it's because it's a leaning into that personal connection. And a lot of what we do, like I get convicted sometimes because it's all about, oh, hey, do you want to come to our church? Hey, come to our building. Like, yes, that's good. Yes, we're seeing some crazy, amazing testimonies of like lives being changed and God's working through that. But we're making it about us. And it's not about us.
Right.
And what I'm saying has nothing to do with AI, which is the topic of this podcast.
Yeah, no, I love it. This is incredible.
We'll go back. How about some rapid fire questions? What is your favorite underrated AI tool for ministry that's not Pulpit AI?
That was built specifically for ministry
or
context?
That ministry like that churches can use.
I mean, I think I live my life on Claude. You know, I think Anthropic is amazing. They do happen to be a partner of Pulpit AI. Their product team, one of their product guys, lives in Nashville where I live, and he's a Christian, and so I just really like them. But Claude projects for $20 a month, you can basically build your own little mini LLM data set trained on your thoughts and ideas. And then you can take writing of yours, speaking of yours, and it will kind of help you come up with your own voice for it. I use it for everything. Yeah. I have my own Pulpit AI vision, growth, like all of it in one, and I can just go so what it does is it's like filtering questions through that lens. And, you know, if you think about like a church, you know, a pastor could sort of go like, here's my Here's a practical example of how they could use it. Here's my ministry philosophy. Here's our culture. Here's our language. Here's what I believe. I'm going to put that all into this Claude project. And then when I'm trying to make decisions, that's when I'm going to talk to humans too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to filter some of this stuff through, hey, this opportunity came up. Hey, this person in the church just came through and wanted to start this knitting ministry. Does that fit into whatever? And it's like, cool, I'm going to talk to people about it, but I'm also going to just go in and go, hey, what, in all that I've ever written about or thought about around ministry or resources I've pulled in or whatever it might be, how does this decision I'm trying to make filter into this? So I think ChatGPT does the same thing now with, there's all these tools, and I think all these tools that are hyper niche or integrated into the larger platform that you're using are going to be the winners. I think for the next few years, it's like for the individual, it's like personalizing Claude and ChatGPT is just like, Claude yesterday announced they can like now integrate with your Google, with all your Google Docs and your email and all that stuff. It's like, dude, yeah. So I think those are the two big ones. I'm kind of just like they're the ones innovating and building.
I said rapid fire, but I want to.
Sorry.
No, I want to. Well, I'm saying that because I want to ask a clarifying question on that. What's the biggest difference you see between OpenAI's ChatGPT and then Anthropic's Claude? Because I'm pretty sure I paid for both, but I mainly use ChatGPT. That's just because I downloaded the app on my phone first, and it's just habit now. So sell me on Claude because I'm.
So I think for what we do, which is taking someone's intellectual property, which is their words and their preaching, and repurposing it has been the most faithful and the most to that source, and it just sounds more human to me. I find it to be more creative. I find it to and then I mean, look, like without getting ideological on here, like Anthropic's very public about what they're doing, what they're building, and what they stand for. OpenAI is a black hole. Nobody knows what they're doing over there. Yeah. You've got executives leaving the company. You've got like, it's a different thing. So I just trust Anthropic more, and I also just find the product to be better. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, I'm suspicious of OpenAI. Okay. And I use it.
Yeah. Tell me more. Let's do a deep dive.
I mean, okay. So if you were to go, so OpenAI has this deep research tool. And one of the cool things about it is that you can watch what it's doing in real time. So let's say I went and I said, and I did this recently, go to all of the Christian faith-based software companies in the United States, do a market analysis. Who does what? How big are they? How many employees do they have? What's their revenue? What are their blind spots? What are they good at? It's like basically I want a presentable document on the state of church technology. And I want enough information in there to be accurate so that if I show it to my boss, he's like, whoa, this is a lot. But when you watch it, you can literally watch it try to get around paywalls. It's showing you, start searching this, going to this. Okay, I'm at the New York Times. Okay, well, I got blocked by a paywall on this website, on this article. So I'm going to try and figure out a way to get around it. I just think like, I just think the way that they have launched and what they're doing with the data, obviously, there's this big lawsuit between them and the New York Times right now about what did they have access to? What are they training on? All that kind of stuff. And so I do think we're in a world where like, and this happened with social media, like where we are now the product. The product's not being sold to us. We're now the product. And the question is just like, what are they doing over there? Yep. You know what I mean? And I will say this too. Since this is like, like a Christian podcast, like I think chasing AGI.
What's AGI?
So artificial general intelligence, which is essentially human-like reasoning, which is like what they're talking about at OpenAI. Like we want to create, that's like the robots that you see in the movies, they're very public about wanting to get there. I think that's like a Tower of Babel type experiment. So I think it's just, I think Anthropic is like, we want to build tools that businesses can be built upon and that people can use and that are ethical and may not agree all the time with my ideology, but at least, you know, they're very public about what they do with their data and AI safety and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I think OpenAI is sort of like a big experiment.
Well, then
Is it for profit? Is it non-profit?
That's what I was going to
Is it?
Because I saw they were nonprofit and they went for profit. Elon was really involved in the beginning.
Yeah.
And he left. And so what happened there? Like, educate me, because I don't even know.
I honestly, I don't fully understand, but it started out as a research, you know, like a research organization that a lot of these big guys got behind. And then I think as they began to make progress and started to go, oh, wait, because here's the thing about AI. It's like, you know, there's like crazy fixed costs in compute and data centers and chips and all this kind of stuff. And it's like the more data you get, it scales. So I think it got to the point with OpenAI where it was like, oh, yeah, this is like a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. There's going to be people starting businesses. Like, we can't compete just being like a nonprofit. You know, we're going to have to raise capital. We're going to have to do all this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's like this, does Sam Altman own part of it or does he not? What's that look like? Okay, Microsoft invested, but now they're kind of like backing away and building their own stuff. It's just like, why are all the people that have been there since the beginning leaving and starting their own companies? Yeah, I don't know. It's super interesting. I don't know how you turn something from a for-profit into or nonprofit into a for-profit. I have no idea, but they did it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. And Elon is not happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Not to get political.
We can
or anything,
we
talking
can
about
we can
Elon,
nerd
but-
out. We can nerd out about I can nerd out about all that stuff.
No,
all day.
we're let's talk more about it at lunch, because
Yes,
you know,
let's
we'll
do it.
talk about it off pod.
Yes.
Michael, I've used Pulpit AI. Whenever I preach, I'll take that, give it to Pulpit, and use it to create additional guides and resources and things like that. We've used it at our church. Give me a breakdown, because I know now you guys are doing sermon clips and stuff. So what all does Pulpit do?
Yeah, so right now, you know, you upload audio, video, or like a manuscript to Pulpit AI. We automatically create like AI generated sermon clips, pull moments out of that. That's one of the kind of like the proprietary pieces of our technology that we've really tried to hone in on, which is what moments should be extracted from a sermon, not viral, like not what's going to go viral or what's going to be controversial, but like what best represents the whole thought that a pastor was trying to convey. And yeah, we right now it's just very basic. Like, here are some ways that a church could take the content from the sermon. So yeah, it's like, hey, here's a guide for your small group leaders so that they don't have to come up with a message anymore. It's like they can talk about the sermon from the previous Sunday. And here's discussion questions, kids curriculum, social media content, blogs, newsletters, like anything that just takes that sermon and repurposes it in a way that would be meaningful for that congregation.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do now. And then yeah, sermon clips, you can just kind of like go into the transcript, highlight any part of your sermon clip, your sermon, and you can create a clip from that.
Yeah.
We're kind of still in like beta. We're working on a huge clips upgrade now. Transparently, that was not what we were most excited about in terms of like how we were going to utilize AI. It's definitely where the market has pulled us. Like, people really want that, which I understand. So we released like a very basic version of clips that we're kind of now iterating on and hope in the next like month we're going to do like a relaunch of that.
Playing around, and I haven't played around with Pulpit's clip software. I played around with some of the other guys, and even just like Opus and things like that. A lot of the issues that I find with it is it'll clip things, and like the content is good, but it lacks context, right? To where the video doesn't make a lot of sense, like just whenever it's going there. And so I think that's the issue. Is that kind of like the big solve that you guys are trying to make? Yeah,
but honestly, the more that we do this, actually, the less interested we are in the AI clips and more interested in just how do we make it really easy for someone to create a clip from the part of the transcript that they want.
Okay.
Because the reality is like AI is only going to do so good, right? And then also, likely the pastor knows, hey, this is a part I would want.
Yeah.
You know, it's the problem is not the finding the spot in the sermon for people. It's how do I like create a reel out of it, customize it the way that I want, and post it. So the AI clips are just more suggestions for us. What we really want to do is just go, how do we make it really easy so that like the social media intern of a church at 75 church of 75 people can go on Sunday afternoon, get some suggestions, but also just like highlight the part they want and post it. So it's funny. It's like the flashy, like AI generated clips. It's like, it's kind of like a flashy thing, but it's actually not the most, in my opinion, the best part of any of these tools.
Yeah.
Because it's not always great at pulling out the moments you want it to pull out.
Yeah, no, in a lot of times what we'll do is we will have just our social media person, as soon as the pastor starts preaching, start a stopwatch on their phone. And then, so like start it. And then anytime there's like a good moment, or like a lot of the times I've seen like the best clips are stories, right? And so you just click the lap button every time there's like a good moment. It's like, oh, this would be a good clip, right? And I think stories work well for social media clips because there's a clear beginning, middle, and end. And then it ties into whatever the point of the message that the pastor is trying to convey.
Right.
Anyways, man, I love Pulpit AI. I think it's great. You guys are doing something really cool. And now it's integrated with Subsplash, right?
Yeah. So we were acquired by Subsplash. So I'm still running Pulpit AI and then kind of helping Subsplash with the sort of the bigger picture AI stuff across their platform. But yeah, I really believe in it, that AI is going to be such table stakes 18 months from now. It's all about how is it integrated in the workflows you already have, And so for me, Subsplash reaches literally millions of people via their apps and their media end users, and then they have the largest collection of digital sermons in the world. And so it just was like one of those things that really worked together good. So yeah, we're working on basically fully integrating Pulpit AI within their whole ecosystem. And then we're working on a couple of really cool like standalone products that we think will be pretty great. So yeah, we're loving it. We're loving it. Love them. They're amazing people. They've been so good to us. And just excited about like that scale. Like what can we do at scale? What can we do with the data? What learnings can we give? And so it's fun, man.
Awesome, man. Michael, love your heart behind everything you do. We're going to link down to Pulpit AI and Michael's Instagram and his X account and all the fun stuff below. Thank you so much for watching, and that's going to do it for this episode.
Thanks, Brady.